Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another daily devotion. I'm Pastor Roy here at Woodlawn Christian Church in Lake City, Iowa, and we do these devotions Monday through Friday of every week. So if you do enjoy these, please like and subscribe or make a nice comment below. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to see you back more often. We are going to finish chapter 24 in Matthew's Gospel today. But we do not finish yet the Mount Olivet discourse. That is going to go on through to the end of chapter 25. We're right in the middle of this whole emphasis of watchfulness, and it's going to continue on for a couple more days about being on guard, being ready. And it's an important thing. So Jesus goes on and on about it. So we'll go on and on about it as well, likewise. But today's is a little different. Today we're looking at chapter 24, verses 45 to 51. And this is a more of an emphasis, not so much on individual believers as more what I thought I believe we were talking about yesterday, and definitely what we're going to be talking about from here out into 25, at least the next parable. But here he's talking about the leadership. This is aimed at the disciples then, the leaders now, because it's talking about being put in charge of his household. It's the servants that's given a little, the servant that's in charge of the other servants, okay, the other slaves. We're all a slave to Christ. It's a word that carries some baggage, understandably so, and we realize that, but it's a word that's used over and over in Christianity to designate our relationship to Christ. We are servants, we're slaves to Christ, not in a bad way. Okay, so you have to think of it that way. And the word slave is used here in these verses. So let's listen to this and we'll talk about it a wee bit more, shall we? Verses 45 to 51, the very end of chapter 24 in Matthew. Who then is the faithful and wise slave whom his master has put in charge of his household to give the other slaves their allowance of food at the proper time? Blessed is that slave whom his master will find at work when he arrives. Truly, I tell you, he will put that one in charge of all his possessions. But if that wicked slave says to himself, my master is delayed, and begins to beat his fellow slaves and eats and drinks with drunkards, the master of that slave will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour that he does not know. He will cut him in pieces, and put him with the hypocrites, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. All right. Hypocrites, of course, is double face. That's a mask that the Greek actors would wear. So it's you're saying one thing and doing another. Or perhaps you're purposely misleading. It would seem here he is not treating this slave is not treating the wicked slave is not treating the other slaves properly. He has been put in charge of giving them their allowance for food at the proper time to feed them the word. Is what I am saying about this, or I'm seeing in this. We are to feed you the word. We're to teach you the word. We're to provide you that spiritual nutrition that you need. But if we're not doing that, and in fact we're leading you astray, which we could argue quite vehemently that much of the modern church is not going the right way, in my opinion and many others' opinion. We have leadership has led, in my chosen denominations of disciples and American Baptists, I see places where leadership has very much not been teaching the way things should be, and is not providing the food, the allowance of food at the proper time, not the proper food, not the proper spiritual food. They are off eating and drinking with drunkards. Perhaps even beating, it says, beats the fellow slaves, and beating the fellow slaves into thinking the way they want them to think, not the way the scripture is telling them to think. I see some harshness in here, which we should, because guess what? 51 says he will cut them in pieces. There is some harsh reality to not feeding the other believers properly and to not treating them properly and thinking it's just a good game. It's go on forever because Jesus has been too nearly nearly 2,000 years, 1,990 years delayed in coming. But it's telling us here he's coming, and it's going to continue on that way. And again, I think these verses, 45 to 51, are particularly a warning to the church leadership. That's scary stuff. James tells us not to be careful. Don't teachers are judged more harshly. Not everyone should aspire to being a teacher. I think these verses here, likewise, it reiterate that those that choose to put themselves in church leadership put themselves in a position to live to a higher mark, to lead to a higher mark, to provide the proper food. Are we indeed doing that? Your question or your answer may vary from mine. Our answers may vary from what the others are thinking. I think it's something we need to be quite intent on pondering. However, I think we would be foolish. We would be a evil and a foolish, wicked, I guess the word it's using here, wicked slave, but a very foolish slave to think that we can get away with doing what we want and pushing our own worldly agenda over the agenda of God. Let's not do that. That's what I got for you today. We will pick up tomorrow with the parable of the 10 bridesmaids, and we'll be in chapter 5, or 25, not 5. Whoa, let's not jump back to 5. We'll be in chapter 25, so that's cool. 24 took us a little while. God bless you all, and please, please, please be a blessing to someone today. We'll see you tomorrow.